Watching News Feed, let's pick up on the ballot counting that still is continuing in the United States following the midterm elections there. A set of close contests will determine whether Democrats keep their slim majorities in the House and Senate, or if the Republicans will seize control of one of both these chambers. Well, let's get an update now, and we'll speak to Professor John Stremlau from the Department of International Relations at Wits University. Prof, good to talk to you once again. So, the sentiment right now is that Democrats have performed better than expected in these midterm elections, even though both these houses still remain in doubt. What does this mean for Democrats in particular?
Well, you're correct in saying that absolutely the Democrats surprised everyone, including the pundits, by showing that they, in fact, have strength and were able to sort of maybe abuse the precedent that has gone back to 1906, where there's only been 4 elections when the incumbent president did not lose his congressional majority in the by-elections after his first election. But the bigger point, which I think resonates here in South Africa, is that democracies are proven once again to be resilient. What is really striking to me is, despite the state capture efforts by the Republicans to play the Constitution to their advantage as a minority party and keep control, they nevertheless did not perform as well as everyone expected in this election. And things like the abortion decision by the Supreme Court resonated with women throughout the country, and that helped to offset the inflation and other economic problems that saddled Joe Biden. So it was basically a good night for the Democrats, even though, as you say, it's not over yet. Yeah.
Let's talk about Joe Biden. Is he somehow emboldened with these results that are still trickling in? Because he has been speaking, sending somewhat of a mixed message that the intention is to run again, but that final decision will be made, I think, in early January, he said. You and I have had this conversation before, that age doesn't seem to be on his side. Might you expect him to run again?
That's a very good question. And embolden as a verb is not something that I associate with Joe Biden very much. He's been very skillful at how he's managed to get legislation through, and his legislation is more popular than the man. But he does turn 80 this weekend, and he would be 86 if he ran successfully for a second term. And, you know, I'm only a year younger than he is, and I could not handle the rigors of the presidency at any age probably, but certainly not at this age. So I would not, if Donald Trump wins, and it was a very bad night for Donald Trump, let's not lose sight of the fact, even though I'm worried that a Trump wannabe in Governor DeSantis in Florida seems to be the star of the moment in the Republican Party, and he very much appeals to the Make America Great Again racist crowd that is been the base of Donald Trump. But nevertheless, Donald Trump had a bad night. Some of his candidates did not succeed, most notably Dr. Oz in Pennsylvania. And so therefore, he's licking his wounds. And I think the Republican Party is ready to move beyond Donald Trump. So I would not expect him to run. And if he does not run, I don't think Joe Biden will run. But that's my guess now. It's irresponsible this far ahead to make such suggestions any more than whether Cyril Ramaphosa is going to get through Nazareth.
Prof, let's talk about who might be the candidates then, who might be the alternate candidates for both the Democrats and the Republicans. Donald Trump, you're saying he's licking his wounds. What do we know about this Dos Santos character? Because the understanding is that they have been campaigning as though they are on a presidential race of some kind and that these are not midterm elections. So does that give us a clues as to who might be the Republican candidate. But on the Democrats' side, if Joe Biden pulls out, is there any clear candidate at the moment?
Well, on the second question, Doug Emhoff, the second gentleman who is married to Kamala Harris, suggested that Kamala Harris, I thought it was rather inappropriate of him to speak out like at this particular time, would be the favored candidate to succeed Joe Biden, because she's the vice president after all. I would love to see a woman and a woman of color become president of the United States, but thinking realistically about whether the Democrats could win or not, I would think that they would turn to a more establishment proven Democratic governor, for example. Her own state of California has David Newsom, who's just won a re-election campaign and is very popular, although California's got lots of problems, and so maybe you could find a different state governor. But I don't know. It's too early. On DeSantis, he's really done some terrible things in Florida. Critical race theory, which is an attempt to come to terms with the sordid history of America, has been banned from schools for teaching it, sensitivity on race matters. He sent Venezuelans up to Martha's Vineyard, which not incidentally is the favored home of the Obamas and the black elite in America. They have the rich African Americans have summer homes on Martha's Vineyard, and that wasn't by accident. So, there's a lot about him that I really curdles my blood, but he does seem to be the darling of the Republican right at the moment.
Professor John Stremlau, thank you very much for putting us in picture there. Professor Stremlau is at the Department of International Relations in Wits University. All right, let's quickly take a look now at news making headlines across the continent.